3, 2, 1. Welcome back. I keep meaning to do the actual lyrics to the song. It's only like 3 lines, and I forget every time.
Is that 3, 2, 1? Let's kick it.
It's such a banger. But welcome back to Pro and Noob.
So good.
For session 3 for the Cowboy Beboppies.
Session 10, breakthrough.
Oh, he's expecting a breakthrough. Oh.
I mean, I'm making a Mr. Morale reference.
Part of me knew that, but I listened to the other side that went, no, just go with the other way. Just go.
Because I remember I made you listen to Mr. Morale after I had my mini. You had the mini crash out over Last Song Standing, accidentally spoiling what Evangelion's actually about.
I'll never recover from that.
Yeah, take it up with the ringer.
The scar will never fully heal. He'll carry it the rest of his life.
Oh, speaking of Evangelion, I don't want to break your format, but is it okay if I full screen myself for a moment?
I mean, you've done it before. You haven't done it for a while, but go ahead.
Okay, so I need to shout out my boy Levi. This past week, celebrated my birthday, and he got me a kick-ass T-shirt. Now you can't see most of it. It looks like it's an Evangelion T-shirt, and it is in a way. So shouts out Levi. Former contributor to the Nerd Academy podcast, dear friend of mine, got me this bitchin' Garfield Evangelion t-shirt. He brought it to the Dave and Buster's we did my birthday party at, wrapped. It was inside of a Ziploc bag, folded in on itself, wrapped in duct tape.
You know what? I've seen and interacted with Levi for a whole of half a second. That fits. It's like, you know what? Yeah, I can see that being a Levi thing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it.
Hi, Levi. Shout out, Levi.
Shouts out, Levi. Shouts out. No, Levi rules. We did.
Levi made me feel validated that you have some of the worst takes going.
Wrong. He, Spencer coined, he is the patron saint of bad takes.
So he therefore knows what a bad take is, and he knows.
No, my takes are great. My takes are great. My takes are immaculate. And the takes that I know are unpopular or maybe not great, I know, but I can back them up.
But that's just double downing, right?
No, I stand by my opinions and I can
double down.
I can argue them effectively. But anyway, we did a very fun 5 years of the Nerd Academy podcast live stream on the 25th, my actual birthday, about a week ago by the time you guys are seeing this. So if you haven't seen that yet, go back and check it out. It was a great conversation. It was a great time. Everybody was way nicer to me specifically than I was anticipating. Scotty notwithstanding. Scotty showed up and was just a terrorist. But no, it was a lot of fun celebrating 5 years of TNAP. We made some announcements over there. Video essays are coming to the channel starting this summer. Finally ripping the Band-Aid off of that. I am like knee deep in the first draft of what will be my first video essay, which is going to be my very detailed, elaborate pitch for a Star Wars fighting game. Something that astounds me that doesn't really exist in the modern era. We got one in the 90s and it was dog shit, and never since have we had one. Well, there's one other one, but it was a Wii exclusive that came out in 2008.
Classic.
So there's like I said, there's like the fact that like Star Wars in gaming is so expansive. Like,
and the fact that you've got a classic Nintendo shovelware game before an actual proper fighting game for Star Wars is nuts.
Yeah. And I will say, Star Wars The Clone Wars lightsaber battles was a lot of fun. And that shit hit when you were 12.
Most Wii games. That's not me ducking in the way. I adored that thing. That thing got me through like college and uni, but there was a lot of crap on it.
There was. There was another one that I have in the pipeline that I have an outline for is like breaking down the like bizarre publication history of The Force Unleashed and how many weird different versions of the game there is. But all that for a later date. That's enough promo from me. But we're here with another
Nerd Academy. Check it out. No K.
Yes. Sorry. Check out the Nerd Academy podcast wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube where all the video essays will live. But yeah, we're here. Did another batch of episodes here for Cowboy Bebop. I'm having a lot of fun with this show. You know, I will say that like
the man's now gooning.
I am not gooning. I am not gooning.
He's trying to save face.
I'm not trying to save face. I'll read the message, motherfucker. You don't scare me. I said I will read directly. Listen.
I'm smacking one out furiously.
Good God.
Is what he wanted to say. But.
I said, listen, my stance on anime fan service is well known, but Faye Valentine could very easily be the sexiest woman ever drawn. And I said that very much with the caveat of I am not about to start gooning for a drawing. However, this woman exudes just a lot of energy that I appreciate. And here, I will explain that. I will explain that in a very classically nuanced me way. Most anime fan service, most like sexy women in anime is typically just like a conventionally attractive woman drawn with big bazongas and a big booty, and the camera will go out of its way to linger on the booty and the bazongas. And
either lingers or it pans up. Right.
Pans up, or you'll get those like hard smash cuts with like the sound, you know, and then you cut to the character next to them and they're like, oh, you know, like doing a lamentation for titties.
Shubadidu. Sorry.
The reason why I think Faye Valentine is or might be one of the sexiest women to ever be drawn is the show is tasteful enough to not go, look at the bazongas.
No, but they jiggle if you're looking for it. No.
They do jiggle. They do jiggle. Mm-hmm. And I think that because they don't, you know, as using Evangelion as a comparison point, because there aren't the like, you know, vertigo zooms into her rack, like Evangelion, for example, would do with Misato, they can get away with this is how physics works on breasts.
Yeah, yeah.
They can get away with that, and it feels like it's in good faith. But they put her in like reasonable yet still very appealing outfits, and her like default look is an aesthetic I'm already into, and it's fantastic. It's her presentation. It is the way that she just kind of sits there, you know, like, we're adults. We can talk about what we find attractive in a not objectifying way. I think it's reasonable to say that like a little bit of under cheek goes a long way. And, you know, there's a good bit of that going on with Faye Valentine. You know, she's fiery, she's funny, she's headstrong. She has a lot of personality that adds to that appeal. And then, like I said, the aesthetic of just how she dresses, I think is like, I really like it. And she has those two modes of kind of like streetwear hottie, and then she has her like femme fatale wardrobe. Like when she went into the opera. Like, I'm not here to goon over a 2D drawing, but I will say 3D objectively, as somebody with eyes who can appreciate attractiveness, she's definitely in the pantheon. She's definitely in the pantheon.
It's just an interesting one because obviously this is not to keep being like back in my day when I was a boy, but she was everyone's first. Like you see this shit on Toonami. It's just like, hey, here's Faye. You're 13. Here's Faye Valentine. Like, okay, I can see where. I can see it because I experienced it. Where it all starts. Like, yeah. I kind of get why people were mad at the Cowboy Bebop live action show. Kind of. Not that I'd ever flip out on that show for that specifically. Because I thought Faye was fine in that. They did all right with her outfit in that. But
I was going to say, I'm sure that for most people who get really weird about that shit, pardon me.
It was a time.
I'm sure that it had less to do with the outfit and more to do with like, why didn't you find just a model who is like all of these bizarre proportions that can't exist in the physical world?
I'm going to defend that outfit because it was just a yellow leather jacket it was this weird yellow thing that they tried to replicate, like the top she's wearing, and then it was just a red leather jacket. Like, I get what you're going for here, but it's not Faye. I don't need a girl's ass hanging out on camera, but it's what they did to her wasn't Faye. No.
I'm looking at pictures. I'm looking at pictures. Aesthetically, I can see it.
I say it's not the worst. I just don't think it worked particularly well. Really?
I mean, here's what I'll say. I can understand. Now, granted, I'm just looking at this in a vacuum. Like, I don't know what.
She was all right as actually acting as Faye.
No, I mean, yeah, like the performance. I understand like people not necessarily being in love with the costuming choice. Like, I think that especially looking at pictures of her next to Jet and Spike in live action.
Yeah, you got. They even did like Edge.
Like, I think you can tone down what Faye is constantly wearing in the anime to adapt it to live action, and her still have like some swag to her.
My biggest thing with it is Faye in the anime isn't like inherently sexualized when she's wearing that.
Yes.
Like, she's just it's just clothes she wants to wear, right? So it just came across in the live action show as oh no, Pearl Clutch, we have to change this thing because we have to change this thing right now, right? Someone's going to complain about it. But
yeah,
it is what it is. That show's long dead. Netflix lost.
Yeah. Again, I just find it funny as an outsider that One Piece was adapted into live action more effectively than a show that kind of already exists.
One Piece makes some crazy things that they do the same thing, but just on a smaller scale. It's kind of
which makes sense. But anyway, with these episodes, I had a lot of fun. The first episode we watched this week would have been episode 5, correct?
Yes, Ballad of
the Fallen Angels. I like that one a lot. That was definitely my favorite of the bunch. I'm liking these little snapshots into Spike's past.
Yeah.
I am kind of like I am left wanting a little bit at the end of this batch of episodes, this batch of sessions, where I'm kind of ready to get more characterization. Because we've lived an archetype, for me, I think about as long as we can. Because everybody is kind of like been at a baseline level for pretty much all of these episodes, except for Ballad of the Fallen Angels. Where we see Spike go into a situation with none of that charm, none of that, again, like kind of Han Solo, Lando Calrissian swagger, where it's like, this is somebody who, like, even if he's doing what he's doing to like fill a void in his life, he still loves this job. This is the first time I've seen Spike go into a situation where his like default was not, hey man, we're gonna get in there, we're gonna make this money. I'm gonna bust some caps and split some wigs. I'm gonna beat the brakes off of somebody.
Yeah, dude is just like straight faced.
Yeah, straight faced. I gotta go in there. People gotta die. This is personal, and that was really exciting. I think there was a really interesting character moment for Spike when he realizes that Faye had been taken hostage by Vicious. And they get that hostage message where he kind of gets this devious smile where he's like, oh, you've given me the excuse to come light you the fuck up. Like you just greenlit yourself for me. And that was a really interesting beat for him because again, Spike doesn't seem like somebody who relishes violence. It's like it's a part of the job. It comes with it, but Spike also understands that in this profession, you don't get shit if you bring him in cold.
No.
You don't get, and I love that they've come back to that. I also think it's funny that I think we are on like a 3 or 4 episode stretch where every single target, every single mark has died by the end of the episode, so they don't make a dime.
Spike's eating dog food.
Yeah. And I just found it interesting the way that Spike went into that confrontation with Vicious. Again, I think it's hilarious that the show just had the balls and got away with just, what are we going to call this guy? Hey, his name's Vicious. Cool. Okay. Whatever. That's deeply silly, but I'm here for it.
There's also 2 guys called Zebra and Giraffe.
Yeah. I mean, I could get down with that because I was like, I'm sure they were part of a bigger crew that was also like a bunch of safari animals.
Yeah. We also did just have the space rats as well last week.
Yeah.
The guys are walking around with space rat hats.
But no, I found that episode very compelling. Again, it was a very interesting character study for Spike, and it held me over for this batch. But I'm ready for more. I am ready for Jet to get more meat on the bone as a character because right now Jet is just grizzled vet who is frustrated that Spike is a little headstrong, but understands that Spike comes by it honestly and gives him the space to do what he needs to do while trying to be the voice of reason. And, Faye is this, she's also kind of like the down on her luck scoundrel who like clearly used to be really good at bullshitting her way out of just situations that went tits up because of her own actions. And her luck has run out. And now every time she turns around, she's getting kicked in the balls again and again and again and again. And, that's whatever. And then with Spike, you have that tortured, stoic, what I'm doing is a Band-Aid on my soul because I don't know what else to do. And I'm just going to keep running from something that clearly deeply affects him, as we see, And again, I love the fact that the series of flashbacks after Spike totally killed Vicious. Yeah, that's a guy who's dead. Surely. I think we're going to see him again very soon.
Very soon's interesting. That's an interesting take.
Maybe not very soon, but like, I do not think that man is alive, or I don't think that man is dead. I think he's alive. But like in that series of flashbacks, as Spike is thrown through the window and he kind of like, tosses the grenade, that like life flashing before his eyes sequence, I can't tell the order in which it's happening, which I find compelling. Yeah. Because when the show begins, it is Spike walking through the rain, leaving behind the roses, as he's flashing back to going like akimbo on a room full of guys with machine guns. And he talks about how he's died before. And again, does that mean like, for all intents and purposes, he should have died and he was saved by whoever this mysterious woman is? Maybe. But I kind of always assumed that like that act of tremendous violence we see him take part in the very, very beginning was in reaction to this woman who saved his life. being killed. Now, when we flash forward, or when we like get the flashback in this episode, it is, you know, Spike working with Vicious, Spike getting shot at, Spike staggering onto the street, collapsing in front of this woman, and then getting nursed to health, and that's all we get. So I'm even more curious now if he gets gunned down, finds this woman, maybe falls for her, wants to get out of this life, and that ends up becoming both of their undoings.
Yeah.
And that she is eliminated because his actions. Like I'm very curious on the sequence of events. Because again, I had assumed that was like a revenge killing on his part.
Yeah.
Was that like this, you know, a woman's killed me before, you know? Oh, okay. So like, yeah. So I'm very curious. I'm very curious. There's a lot of like unreliable narrator happening, but not in a like, but in so far as I feel like we're being shown things either out of order or so disjointedly that divining what, you know, cause A, or, you know, action A leads to cause B, which precipitates C, like that it's being shown in such a disjointed way that you can't actually put the pieces together quite yet.
Yeah.
But I think that was really compelling. I think that was very compelling.
Good. So I will say, unlike Evangelion, you'll have an easier time when they tell you, because they will get to it. They don't leave that just hanging like a tit in the breeze. I don't worry about it.
I mean, I hope so. Like I said, like there's a part of me that is of two minds with Spike's characterization.
Interesting.
You know, there's a part of me that's like, oh man, I would love to see Spike begin to really grow or change.
Yeah.
And that not be explained. Or I would like for it to be explained and for there to be some type of revelation with the context there that then guides us towards what is next for him.
Yeah, that's fair.
And, you know, like I said, at one point, I don't think I needed it. Now I kind of do.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that episode was fun. I enjoyed that a lot. Second episode, fun villain gimmick. You know, it reminds me of like a Monster of the Week type show, like a Buffy or an Angel, you know, where it's like
I liked how you said about the space rats. It's very like old Batman villain. It feels very like, I can't think what one it is. Oh, who's the puppet one? I'm saying there's a puppet one.
Scarface.
No, not Scarface. Is it Scarface?
That's the name of the puppet, I think.
It probably wasn't. It just reminds me of that one.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. It makes sense. You know, this also did something similar to Evangelion, where it's like sci-fi. We're going to slam on the science fiction brakes, swerve this whole whip, and then go, magic! Sci-fi. And
I mean, it's not necessarily magic, but I get your point, yeah.
I mean, so what?
It's kind of magical.
A hyperlane caved in on itself, caused a like celestial catastrophe, and because of the radiation from the hyperlane collapsing on itself and the moon colliding with the Earth, it made this person immortal to the point of ceasing to age.
Yeah. It's not inherently magic. It's chemical reactions and shit.
And we have
it's like tap dancing on the line. Sure.
It is. Like I said, it was abruptly, like I said, you know, for me, like the dividing line between science fiction and fantasy has always been how much of a scientific justification can you give for the most fantastical element of your universe?
That's fair.
You know, like if you look at Star Trek, there aren't a lot of things that boil down to some form of magic.
Sure, but I think then you're looking at there's that line of sci-fi and sci-fantasy, right?
Yeah, like again, it's why I've always said Star Wars has more in common with Lord of the Rings than it does with Star Trek. You know, because at its core, that story is propelled by magic in the Force. Yeah. It is magic. It's a very specific type of magic that there are a lot of rules for. And there is
also like a biological element to it, which doesn't.
I was gonna say, yeah, and there is a scientific element to it, but at the end of the day, like it is way more based in the spiritualism than it is in the reason why. Like here's why some people can use the Force and some can't.
Yeah,
you know, in like your midichlorians, people who are predisposed to having more midichlorians in their cells than others, having like a more open gateway to being able to touch, interact with, and use the Force. You know, it's something I like about the Ahsoka show a lot, where they very much are like, everybody is in some way, shape, or form connected to the Force, reaffirming that while also reinforcing the idea of like, however, you know, the line between Chirrut from Rogue One and Sabine, you know, that's a thin line. You know, Chirrut is as connected to the Force as somebody who does not have X amount of midichlorians can be.
It's everyone can sing, people are just better.
Yes.
Like, singing's a thing that inherently people can do. Some people are just really bad at it.
Yeah. Yeah. And there are some people who technically can sing well on a technical level, but they aren't like solo performers. That is the place that like a Chirrut Imwe is in, where Sabine can belt, you know, like she can have her type moments, but like, you know, she has a hard time.
Sabine's out here still doing this to try and hit the pitches and the notes.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You know, so like I said, so there is a defined sense of magic. Yes, there are spaceships and there are laser guns, but like with Cowboy Bebop, this show so far has felt like hard science fiction up to this point. You know, up to and including the fact that like they've been really restrained with the technology beyond space travel and like faster than light travel. Everything has been, it's a car, but it flies. You know, this, you know, it's a spaceship. You know, this is basically an 18-wheeler in space. Here are giant space yachts. You know, so like that, then that's my thing. And I'm not saying it's necessarily bad. I'm not necessarily saying it's a flaw. I just think it's funny that we are 2 for 2 of like our science fiction series that have a abrupt break from science fiction and go straight to like a space opera-y type, you know, fantasy and science fiction commingling. You know, again, like, the technology is so restrained that nobody has lasers. You know, everything is still like it's a Glock with a bullet. You know, it's not pew pew. You know, it's a gun.
It's because you've got to recharge the lasers.
I know. Like, and that's what I said before. I kind of was like, like I like this idea that in the same way that like at the advent of the gun and gunpowder, that it was like this is effective in X situations. But because of its limitations, it isn't as widely used. And I like that was kind of the case here. It's, you know, I have my like energy weapons, but they take so long to recharge. I kind of only got one shot to use this. And after that, you know, similarly to like the Revolutionary War, you know, I got like one shot with this, you know, flintlock rifle. And after that, it's a bayonet and a cutlass, and it's a free for all. So that was fun. But no, like the unaging kid, I think was a lot of fun. It was, you know, a fun noir. You know, like I said, like a supernatural noir feel to it, where there is that like last minute reassessment of the verbiage of what has been said up to this point. because whenever is giraffe that got thrown out of the window, right?
Yeah,
Zebra was the guy in the wheelchair.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. If we have it flipped, whatever. But like whenever giraffe is like, don't be distracted by how he looks. I was like, oh, I can tell Spike thinks this means the guy in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
Is a threat despite him seemingly being like physically incapable. But I was like, I know that has to mean it's the kid.
Yeah.
It has to be the kid. It has to be the kid. And
it's not a kid.
I think that if I may get a little English teachery for a moment, I really enjoy the idea because, like, the jazz and R&B and soul and funk and blues element of the music to this show, it is kind of the lifeblood of the show. It sets the tone so quickly every episode. And we've heard like a lot of harmonica riffs throughout the show so far. And I love that, like, and again, just culturally, musically, that like blues harmonica like sound just immediately injects so much like implied tone setting and emotion into like any piece of media it's in. Because you just get that immediate like,
you know exactly what they want the second you hear it. The second it starts, you know exactly.
It's dirt road, down on your luck. Things aren't going your way. You don't have a nest egg. You don't have anything really to barter with. You're just kind of out here slumming it alone, and maybe your heart got broken along the way too. Like, again, immediate tone setting with those aesthetic choices musically. And I love the idea of, this killer, this crime boss in some ways, who has been stuck in the body of a child, who's been able to evade consequence for so long because he's a kid who like does a traveling harmonica blues show. I think that it's in some ways kind of a metaphor for Spike as well.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Because I think that it's like, if you look at Spike and you see this Arrested Development and you see this like, oh, like if I try to move on I need to confront whatever he's clearly running from. It might kill me. Not necessarily literally as it does here, but I think the way that like when he shoots the kid with the crystal bullet, we get that rapid onset aging.
Which that must hurt like fuck.
Oh, yeah.
That looked horrific.
Your whole face just at once. It has to be excruciating. Pardon me. But I love the idea that is what I think Spike thinks it will look and feel like. To face whatever he's running from. And that it will kind of like pull everything away from him.
Yeah.
So.
I like that.
So that was something I was like, yeah. I think that I think this represents a lot for Spike. Again, it's a fun gimmick. It's a really fun gimmick. It's a really fun twist. It's a nice chase. Again, this like fun, science fantasy noir, but that specifically, I'm like, I think this is a commentary on what Spike thinks accountability and acceptance look like.
It's interesting that this one comes right after that first episode with Vicious.
Yeah, and I don't think that's by mistake. I do not think that's by mistake. No. That he has yet again narrowly evaded death while choosing to engage with the past in such a way that like is so limiting. You know, he is not going there to confront the past. He's going there to get revenge. He's going there to kill somebody who, you know, again, we don't know much about their relationship. Just like he's responsible for some heinous shit. We saw him kill the head of the Red Dragon. I'm just very curious about like where that comes from. That's why I really am hoping and praying that Vicious isn't dead, because I do want to know more. And I don't think that he's dead for a moment, but
who knows?
Yeah. And, you know, again, he narrowly evades death. Also, is Spike a cyborg? Because there's that little flashback of him getting operated on, and it's kind of very heavily implied. He feels stupid to use that word, but it's very much insinuated that he has, at the very least, like some cybernetic eyeball.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a safe assumption that he is
enhanced in some way.
I think it's a very safe assumption.
I mean, because obviously he's not like full like Jax from Mortal Kombat the way Jet is, you know, where he's got like the big metal greaves on, and I can't even tell if those greaves are boots or his actual legs, and he's got like the full cybernetic arm, you know, but like, you know, it could be like Will Smith and iRobot, you know, where like you know, he hides it very well that he has a full mechanical prosthesis.
Who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? Very excited to see that.
Plot. Who knows? Plot. Haven't said that in a while.
Haven't seen that in a while. We've had a lot of fun action and fun adventures, but I would like some plot. A little extra
it's
plot.
All plot, Jarod. It's all plot.
I know. I am sure.
It's all plot.
I am sure, much in the same way that with The Mandalorian, you know, people would watch, you know, all 3 seasons of that show. People would be like, well, why are we doing this when the story is clearly that? Why are we doing this when the story is clearly that? And by the time, in my opinion, all 3 seasons of The Mandalorian have begun, continued, and then finished, when you look back on each misadventure that happens in the show, even if it doesn't feel like it's directly leading towards what we think the ending is going to be, it has shaped the narrative and what these people are thinking and feeling and going through. You know, I don't think, you know, when people do the whole like, you know, oh, the Jack Black Lizzo episode of The Mandalorian, I'm like, hey, first of all, that shit was so much fun.
I loved that episode.
That episode is incredible. Christopher Lloyd said the words, Count Dooku was a visionary. That might be my favorite moment in all of The Mandalorian. Kelleran Beck and Luke Skywalker be damned. But you know, but a lot of that is about like duty, and it's about you know what like lines to be crossed and growth for Din specifically, you know, where like he because he starts out the story very anti-droid, and then his heart is softened by IG-11. And
so
then
it's 88. Well, I don't think
IG-88. IG-88 is the one from Empire Strikes Back. That's like the classic battle
droid numbers. Yeah, proper names, damn it.
But like IG-11, you know, softens his heart towards droids, and he becomes much more compassionate about that kind of thing. But then we see him in a society where he's not only surrounded by droids, but he is surrounded by separatist battle droids. It's all these B1s and B2s and droidicas that we saw lay waste to his home when he was a child. So he kind of falls back into those old patterns, because I do think it's very triggering for him. Yeah. And that whole season is about like, how do you move forward while making peace with your past? You know, like it's not like it's about learning that kind of growth and progress is not a sprint, it's a marathon. You know, the whole season is building up towards the Children of the Watch kind of fundamentalist sect making peace with a more secularist Mandalorian side led by Bo-Katan. And it all kind of comes to a head of like these two forces need to work together for any of them to survive. And it's moving past that initial animus that is in part shown in that episode, that is explored there within. And also it's just fucking fun. I digress.
Yeah. Speaking of fun,
all of that to say, I do think that what we're seeing right now is that for this show, it's just I have so little idea where it's heading.
Yeah.
That all I can do is go more direct plot, please. More direct plot. By the time I get to the end of this, I'm sure I will be able to look back at something that feels as much of like a non sequitur and go, oh, this was a very important beat for Spike. And I see, and it's not that I don't see the big beats that have happened in each episode. Again, if my kind of like primary theme that I'm focusing on is this idea of running away and running towards a nothing, I like the last episode we watched for this batch a lot, because what was it? Was it VC? VT?
Fun fact, Netflix cut this out of the show. How? I don't know. It was a travesty. I was really looking forward to it. Another reason why that show's garbage. They cut out one of the best episodes.
This was a lot of fun. This one was a lot of fun. I don't think it was my favorite so far.
I just love this episode.
I mean, it's fun. It's cool. VT's a really fun character. I will say, generally speaking, just because sorry to be like the one woke friend at the party. The Mexicans. Some of these ethnic caricatures are fucking rough.
It's the 90s. Okay.
I understand. Again, and I know you're not excusing it.
It's Japanese 90s.
And I know that you're not excusing it. It's just one of those things that for me, it's like, I don't feel like I could do good analysis of this without acknowledging that's fucking rough.
It is rough, yeah.
That was rough. These guys in ponchos and sombreros with 4 teeth between them.
And one of them's clearly just a white guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's all like, oh, hey, look at like these like clearly like, Hispanic coded guys who are like grabbing up on this helpless white woman. It's like, I don't like it. But VC is a lot of fun. She's really cool. And again, if the big theme is Spike is running away, he's constantly running away. What he could embrace is the kind of love VC had with her husband. And in many ways, she's running away.
Yeah. She
is avoiding the reality of bounty hunting and is denying bounty hunters as like a sect of society, personhood and dignity, because she's ashamed and embarrassed and has a lot of complicated emotions about her time when that was her life. And because she is
I always got the impression, because I don't think they actually tell you how he dies in this, do they?
No, I think it's greatly implied he died on the job, though.
Yeah. But I think it's more resentment. It's like, nah, I don't like bounty hunts, so you're just going to go away and die. That's what you're going to do. Like, nah, fuck you.
Yeah. No, totally. And that's what I mean. Yeah. But like on some level, she is running from it. Because because it requires really complicated. It requires a really complicated, like grappling with reality to go, I don't think I ever want to do this again. And it took away the person I love the most in the world from me. But also, they're honest, decent people trying to make a living by going after legitimately horrible and terrifying people. And, it's complicated. And again, and part of the reason why I'm like locking in so much on this theme of running away is it's twofold. And part of it is the session.
You're still in the therapy bit, right?
I'm still on therapy. I'm still on therapy. And that this is all leading towards a breakthrough.
Interesting.
I keep making the Mr. Morale joke, but like I do think this is leading to a breakthrough. And and this is like a weird
break through a window, breakthrough mentally.
Breakthrough mentally. Breakthrough and being able to be like, hey, I've come to accept this idea and I am now made more whole for doing it. And that, I think it's leaning towards that. I also think that the running away motif is something very much like true in Cowboy and Western. Western is in the genre. Media is that it is this kind of like lone gunman who has a checkered past and is, just trying to make his way through the world as a lonely soul. And, it's like, I'm just going to leave that all behind me and I'm just going to keep going from one misadventure to the next, because that way I don't have to think about where I've been. So I think when you take the wandering anti-hero archetype from like Cowboy and Western media, and you take the session framing and you put them together, that is where I'm coming at. That's why I'm coming at this. Like that's kind of been my, North Star of analysis here to get me through, in the same way that like I got a little too hung up on the biblical metaphor in Evangelion. I think this will bear more fruit than the last one.
I just like how you completely ignored that it could very well be just a jam session to go with the lyrics of the intro to it's this. I adore that. Part of why you're here.
It could be part of it. It could be part of it.
Not to say you're wrong or anything, but
I mean, and there's room for multiple interpretations of everything there. But yeah, no. So VT.
It's VT, yeah. It's okay. Victoria's. I even googled it earlier.
Yeah, I remembered Victoria, no problem.
Cowboy. You know what? I'm not even going to try to pronounce it because I read that my brain just goes Terpsichore. I can't. It's something like that.
Terpsichore, is that it?
It's something like yeah. It's like Terpsiche.
Either way,
watch the show; it will tell you.
Yeah, he says it. But yeah, no, I think it is. I think it is really compelling to like have them be at odds. That like I think that she sees in Spike what she's doing, and Spike kind of helps her have a breakthrough that he's not ready for himself. But I think they both see in the other one, you're running from what used to be because confronting it is far too difficult. So yeah. Good.
Also get the same mistaken identity gag again.
I know. My God.
It's so funny.
God, Faye, you're bad at this, dude. Is this what it feels like watching me play trivia?
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Okay, fuck you. You didn't have to say yes to that. But
I did, Jarod, and you know it.
I feel more
that was a setup question for me, but it was always going to end in your downfall.
I feel more like Spike. I feel like a lot of the time when I don't win, it's like I had to throw a grenade into the room and got launched out of a window. And I definitely fucked the other guy up on the way out, but I also did end up in a full body cast.
You're having to try and reorientate yourself with a bullet in space because you're just drifting along.
Hey, I got another singles match coming up, and I think I'm going to add another KO notch to the belt here.
Yeah, but not the way you want.
I've never been knocked out in singles. TKO or KO. Ever.
Damn out.
Every
Have you ever won when it counts?
Yes. Every match that I've won has counted.
Really?
Yes.
So why has Alden got the belt then?
Well, because it went his way, and that's okay.
Why is it 7-0? Why is it 7-0, Jarod?
It's not 7-0.
It's 7-0. You've lost against him 7-0.
Okay. I want to make one thing abundantly fucking clear. While I do not have Eli or Alden chirping in my fucking headphones, anybody who either watches Epic Confrontations or tuned into the stream the other night when Alden was like, yeah, I'm 7-0 against Jarod. This is how he counts 7-0. Our first on the record singles match.
It's totally fine.
That he beat me by like a point or two.
It's
a win. It's a win, but it's not a commanding victory.
Doesn't matter.
Shook out the exact same way in a exhibition match about Legends, which does not count towards our records. Now he won that, yes, very narrowly.
I love the caveats in this.
Because because there's context. There's context.
There's no context in a win or a loss.
Match. If this was an actual boxing match, and he and I stepped into the ring.
Butts and coconuts, Jarod. I'm sorry. It's not.
No. If we step into the ring in a boxing match, and he and I fight for all 12 rounds, and nobody gets knocked down, nobody gets knocked unconscious, nobody hits a TKO. That was a hard-won battle that whoever won, but it was by decision. So when he frames it as him beating my ass or fucking me up, that is patently not true, and words mean things. His third claimed victory over
You
me,
would do the same thing.
No, I wouldn't.
Oh,
no, I would not.
You would, and you're going to. I can feel it.
I'm not. I am not.
That day will come where it's by a point, and it's all going to come out. No,
because when I win by 1 point on Alden, I am going to start doing the Dark Knight Returns monologue. That is what's going to happen.
So yes, you're going to do it.
No, I will just remind him that I was the one man who beat him. But the third win was during the first Hyperspace Gauntlet, when I only got eliminated because Eli had the worst call of that whole match, where he gave one of my teammates during the most recent Coaxium run, Jane Dalton. She's wonderful. She's very good at trivia. I respect her very much. But when Eli gave her the point, when the question was, what was Orlando Calrissian's title in Cloud City? He is the Baron Administrator. She just said Administrator. She got the point. She should not have gotten the point. So everybody but Alden was tied at like 3 out of 5, 4 out of 5 questions correct in the round. So everybody but him got eliminated. He did not eliminate me. Eli did with a bullshit call. The fourth win was Thanksgiving night of 2023. He and I were both wasted, and he said, Eli, book a match right now. I'll fight him. So we did an Iron Man match that was not even like broadcast to the public. It was an unlisted live stream for anybody who wanted to watch it happen. Also, does not count towards our records. Alden's fifth win against me was the fact that he scored 1 point higher on the fucking aptitude test. Not even a match. And then he beat me in teams. And then his team won the Coaxium heist.
Do you know why you'll never beat him?
Why?
Because you don't count those as dubs. That's why.
There are victories he has against me. I will not begrudge him that he has gotten the better of me those 7 times. But in terms of our actual records in the ring, he overinflates how well he's done against me.
A dub is a dub. A dub is a dub. Sorry.
Okay.
You don't have the spirit, Jarod. You need the spirit.
I have the spirit. I have the fighting spirit.
Vodka doesn't count. No.
I'm a whiskey guy.
Isn't there vodka in a Bloody Mary, though?
Yeah. Bloody Mary is my favorite cocktail, but more often than not, if I'm having a little dranky drank on air, I'm just drinking some Crown Apple neat.
Fair play.
But yeah, all of that to say, Cowboy Bebop is very good, and Alden Diaz is a fucking fraud.
He's still beating you, though. The fact that you have to come out here and justify it for 10 minutes is another reason why he's won. If I was older,
people keep fucking lying.
If I was older, I'd count every single time you do this
and
as
enabling the biggest egomaniac in our space to just say fraudulent shit.
The biggest egomaniac is being kept in check.
I'm not that bad.
I don't know.
I got uncomfortable because my own girlfriend was saying nice things about me in a live stream celebrating 5 years of my podcast on my birthday. And I said, thank you, honey, but I don't feel comfortable reading this on air about myself. And I'm the biggest egomaniac.
Yeah.
I am.
Because ego's all an act. So you're a theater kid, right?
Yeah. You don't have to remind everybody of that.
I mean, I don't remind people of that. It's abundantly clear. Okay. I say that with love, with nothing but love.
All right. Wrap the episode up, fucker.
Bebop good.
Bebop good. Bebop
it does kind of hurt that the best episode out of these three did not have much to say about that. Kind of.
I mean, I thought it was fun. It was cool. VC was a cool character. I think honestly, I do think part of it is like, because of the way we're doing this, because it's in batches, that like by the time I get to that third episode and it already has so much in common with the one before it.
That's fair. That's fair.
Characterization. Again, there are very unique things about it, and I liked it a lot, but it was just something I didn't have a lot to say other than this was really well put together, and I think VC is emblematic of Spike's journey.
That's fair. But anyway, we'll be back next week for I need another 3 or 4. It'll be somewhere in that ballpark. But you can find Jarod over on the Nerd Academy podcast.
Yes, you can.
And where else?
You can find Epic Confrontations. We'll be sure to send Eli a fucking bill for that ad we did for the show. Also Ionized Bastards. We're about halfway through the final season. The week this is coming out, this episode we're recording right now, that following Friday should be the next episode of Ionized Bastards. So be sure to tune in for that. Like I said, we're in the final season, halfway through. Things are heating up in more than one way.
I can't remember if I caught up actually.
What's the last thing you remember?
Pass. Off the top of my head, pal.
I just didn't want to spoil what happened at the end of the most recent episode if you're not caught up.
I mean, if I am caught up and I've forgotten, then you can spoil it, I'll forget, and then I'll get to it.
I'm just joking about the fact that Fabian got laid.
No, I stopped halfway through the episode then. I must have done. Because
I said it's heating up.
I would have said something about that if I'd remembered that. So,
well, sorry for the spoilers, but now
I'll forget that.
I had to stop myself when the day the episode came out from like doing a version of the She-Hulk meme where it's like,
is that what the redacted bit is for?
What?
Is that what the redacted bit on Blue Sky was for?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely didn't get to that, but I would have remembered something like that.
Yeah, Fabian's getting some booty now.
Yes, link trees all on the screen in the bottom. And of course, like, comment, subscribe. And we'll catch you next time. So we'll see you, Space Cowboy.
Woo!
Ba, 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 da, 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 da.